Alrighty everyone, what is going on? It is the Geek here, and to start off today's video, I'm going to be fixing up some of the first things that I did last time, which was the ability scores. So 11 here, it is not a +1, it is indeed a +0 as we can see here. Now that's because when it moves up to the first even number, sorry the 12, that it makes it the +1, then it moves to the 14, which that becomes +2, then when it moves to the 16, +3, and when it moves to the 18, +4, and when we finally get to 20, which you can do at level 1, which I can assure you is very hard to do, and that makes it a +5. The next thing that we have on the agenda today is the proficiencies. So what we want to do today is we want to learn about our proficiencies and how we put them into the table. So first things first, down here we have the other proficiencies in languages, which we can find out with using our book or Roll20 or other online resources that we use. So our armor proficiencies are light armor, so let me type that in here. Light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor. We are also proficient with shields, which is kind of a good bonus to our AC if we do use one. Now the next thing that we want to look at is what we are proficient in weapons. So we are proficient in simple weapons, so your clubs, daggers and all that. And also your martial weapons, so your great swords, great axes, long swords, short swords, all of them. The next thing that we look at is tools, and since we are a fighter, we don't start with any tool proficiencies, so we can just leave that part blank. And since we've already gone over the saving throws and skills in the last video, we can move on to equipment. So the thing that we want to look for is how we want to play the game here, and since we are a frontline fighter, I genuinely think that the decision between the chainmail and the leather and longbow is quite obvious, and that we should be taking the chainmail. So we pop all the equipment that we have in here. So as you can see, chainmail. Alrighty, the next decision that we get to make is a martial weapon and a shield, or two martial weapons. Now, since we are going to be a frontline fighter, I think we should be taking a shield to protect ourselves a little bit more, and the martial weapon to deal some big damage to the enemies. So for the martial weapon, I think we should take the greatsword. Just ignore that spelling error. And then we obviously take the shield. The next thing that we get to decide upon is having two light... The next thing that we decide on is having a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or two hand axes. Since I don't see why we should have a light crossbow, I think we should have two hand axes. Now, this section here is entirely up to you and what you want. Don't let me be the judge of what you play. So I'm going to put two hand axes here. Then the final choice that we get is between a Dungeoneer's pack and an Explorer's pack. Now the difference between them is a bit rough, because they do have a majority of the same stuff, but the difference between the Dungeoneer's pack and the Explorer's pack is the Dungeoneer's pack helps with climbing and in-cave stuff, while the Explorer's pack helps with going around and all that. So in the Explorer's pack, we have a bedroll, a mess kit, tinderbox, 10 torches, 10 days of rations, a water skin and 50 foot of hempen rope. And in the Dungeoneer's pack, we have the crowbar, a hammer, 10 climbing hooks, 10 torches, a tinderbox, 10 days of rations, a water skin, and 50 feet of hempen rope. So as you can see, there's not much difference between them. But since we'll be exploring, and that's the main goal of D&D, is to explore, I think we should be taking the Explorer's pack here. Alrighty, the next thing that we want to be looking at today is your armor class. Since we have chainmail and a shield, that means that we have the 16 from the chainmail and then the +2 from the shield. So the way that we can write this is 16 for the AC of the chain, and then 18 for the armor class of the chain and shield. Alrighty, the next thing that I want to show you is how to calculate your passive wisdom. So that is calculated by having 10 plus your wisdom, or if you're proficient in the perception trait, it is 10 plus your perception modifier, and then plussing your wisdom modifier to that. So our passive perception modifier is 9, because we have our wisdom modifier, and 10 minus 1 is 9, which is below average, but it's still decent. Like, it's nothing crazy like a 15, which you can get at first level, which is insane, but it would still do the trick. Alrighty, the next thing that I want to go over today, and it is the final thing that I will go over today, is the fighter abilities. So, as a level 1 fighter, you get your fighting style and second wind. And fighting style, you have a choice of a lot of things, like archery, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, protection, two weapon fighting. So, for our frontline fighter, I think that we should go with great weapon fighting, because whenever you roll a 1 or a 2 on a damage die for an attack you make with a melee weapon that you're wielding with 2 hands, you can re-roll the die. You must use the new roll, even if the new roll is a 1 or a 2. This weapon must have the two-handed property or versatile property for you to gain this benefit, but it's not very good, is it? So that's why I think that the defense fighting style is better, because you get the +1 bonus to AC. So let me just write the defense up here. The next ability that we get is indeed Second Wind. Now that allows us to gain our health back, and it is very useful when you are a lower level. So what it says is, on your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. So let's just write that down here. So Second Wind, then we can write 1d10 plus fighter level once per long or short rest. Alrighty guys, that is going to be it for this episode of making a D&D character sheet. The next thing that we're going to be going over is our alignment and background. So stay tuned for the next episode, which should be out within the next couple weeks, as long as I am feeling motivated to do this. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel to make me more motivated, and don't forget to hit the like button and turn on notifications to see my awesome videos. Thank you guys, and peace out.